Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Stashcast, the official podcast of Stashfin. At Stashcast, we share insights from our leaders, discuss the latest trends, and provide valuable tips and advice to help you succeed. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into another exciting episode of Stashcast. Today, we are in conversation with Ruchika Nanda, Senior VP HR at Stashfin. Hi, Ruchika, how are you doing?
Hi Swaraj, I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Ruchika, let us start by knowing a bit about you, your background, and your journey to Stashfin.
Sure. So I have been working into the field of HR for more than 14 years now. I come from a media and telecom background, spent around 9 years with Den. It's a leading MSO and a part of Reliance Geo now. Prior to this, I was working with Z Media for almost 6 years. Stashfin happened to me last year, and extremely glad to be a part of the future, a new aged company supporting the underserved section of the society, empowering people financially in a credit starved economy. It has been an immense learning curve in the new banking setup where every day is a new day, I must say, full of enthusiasm, opportunities. There's so much to do with fun and learning all the way. So it's been a very pleasant journey for me so far.
So, diving into the world of HR, let's start with the basics. Ruchika, tell us how has the role of HR evolved in the last few years and what are some of the latest developments in the field?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. The HR folks, have seen the function transform in such a short span of time. I believe no other function would have seen such a massive evolution in a short span of time as HR. The role of HR was in earlier times seen as a paper pusher, where there was just hiring, firing, or if there was a transfer, HR was called to sign off. Personal file management, releasing the salaries of people, being the data custodians was seen as the prime responsibilities of HR. I think HR has evolved to a role of being very critical to the organization. We define the culture of the organization. We are partners to the business now. We are an essential ingredient in business's long term strategy by managing the most valuable assets of any business, irrespective of the industry, any business. And those are its people. So we are proudly managing the human resource of any organization now.
So, my next question is how do you approach talent management?
Talent management, simply defined, it is the best talent operating model which suits your business. So, and it may vary from business to business. There is no one size which I would say it fits all. So every company, every setup would have its own strategy of managing talent. And it's a process which involves attracting and retaining the right kind of people who are important for the business to achieve its goals. And the other role of HR, I would say, in the area of talent management is to empower the managers to manage their people effectively, to empower the leaders, the peers of HR leaders to manage their respective talent, their respective pool of talent effectively, to keep them engaged, to ensure that they are effective at all points of time. They are, when they are coming to work, they are delivering their best output. So that is my approach towards talent management.
Also, what our listeners will be very interested to know is what are some of the red flags in the candidate profile?
There could be many, but what I feel is the biggest red flag for me is somebody who's hopping jobs very frequently. I think you get early indicators that the candidate is not really serious about his career. You need a lot of time and investment to change a job, and I think that effort is mutual. The investment in terms of time, effort, and of course money that goes into hiring, the prospective fit for any organization should not be wasted for someone who's never been consistent in his work history. So such signs would really put me on alert.
So, Ruchika, since last year mid, there has been a lot of news of funding winters, business crisis, layoffs in both startups and big firms, which has led to a lot of anxiety among employees. how do you see this coming, and any advice you would want to give everybody?
So, I think winter always turns into spring, is what I know. And these are temporary seasons which any business, irrespective of its nature, can face. Any individual who's continually, learning, is very passionate about what he does and has a high intention to grow will never be defeated by all of this. Yeah, come what may, he'll never be defeated. Excellence, I think, is never an accident. So it's a result of a sincere effort, positive intention, and skillful execution. So if you operate with excellence, such temporary seasons won't affect you. Is my advice to everybody, who's anxious or who's hit by anything of that sort.
So, Ruchika, when you talk about employee engagement, what, according to you, are some of the strategies that have been most effective and some that don't work today and need to change?
So, engaged employees, I believe they contribute directly to the top line of the company. And nowadays, I'm happy that businesses have realized that engagement quotient of any organization is directly proportional to the positive results, which of the organization's KPIs. So, organizations have to and should go all out to have positively engaged people working from for them, and that is where the best talent management strategy fits in, which we were talking about. We ought to have the right mix of people for the right job. A person who knows what he's supposed to deliver on the job based on his capability and skill set would certainly do great for the business. His contributions will always be off the roof, and while this is a constantly, I would say, it's a rejuvenating process. So as HR or as catalyst of this entire strategy, our job is to ensure that people know what they're supposed to do, they are measured objectively. We need to carve out enough sufficient adequate opportunities for them to constantly learn and grow. We need to keep identifying the gaps, constantly evolve, have the constant engagement surveys, running across the organization, so that there's a two-way there's a two-way communication. So even the employees are given an opportunity to express their views, opinions. We should ensure that they are well heard of. They're at least these surveys should run twice a year, so that employees can express what they feel. And through these anonymous surveys, I think that's the best way to let employees talk freely. And that's how HR practitioners need to keep going. That is something, if companies adopt, we will definitely, there's no other way around it, we will definitely have engaged set of employees working for the organization, which will eventually reflect in the performance of the organization.
And finally, my last question would be, what advice would you give to someone who is starting out in HR, or someone who is looking to advance their career in this field?
For young folks, my only advice would be find your calling. If you are starting in HR, you ought to fully understand the human side of human resources. And as they say, humans actually are the most complex machines for any business. So talk the most effective language which works for your people. You need to be strategically, professionally, and emotionally correct. Please keep in mind that this function is still evolving, the most dynamic, so you can never know it all. Always be ready to partner the business, build your credibility not only, I think, as a service oriented person, but also as a strategic thinker. And you need to think holistically, because your decisions are impacting, again, the most important assets of the organization, which is humans. Take a 360-degree view before you approach a decision. And my last statement or my last word would be that we as HR practitioners, we impact the organization way much more than what anybody else can think.
Thank you so much, Ruchika. This has been an enriching conversation, and I hope this should help a lot of our listeners. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Stashcast. If you liked today's episode, do follow and like us on our social media channels. See you soon with another exciting episode. Till then, goodbye.
Thank you.